Okay. How you going?
Uh, Same as always for me. What about you?
Sorry, say that again.
I say things are all the same with me. What about you?
Oh, life's good. Life's very good.
Good.
Yeah. I, what can I tell you? It's mind blowing where I was a year ago to where I am now.
hmm
Like crazy.
It is pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like being able to watch the journey. I mean, I've been watching Pete's journey. I've been watching Mark's journey. I've been watching yours. I've been watching a bunch of different journeys going on. It's doing my heart good, right?
Yeah. I feel like um, I didn't really know. I mean, I know Pete told me that our stories are similar in the way of he went down the training route.
Yep.
When I first started watching Mark, I'll be honest, I was a little confused because his videos were. I remember him having that Dalmatian, Ophi, on a lead,
hmm
um, and he was talking in the camera, and every time Ophi would get up, he would force it to get in back. Like he had put her in a
Yeah.
down, and then every time she got up, he put her in a down, and it was just constant. The whole video was just constant. Him putting her in a down, and I was a bit confused because I had just found you, and you were talking about Mark, and so I switched over to watching Mark's videos, and I was like, that's exactly what I used to do to Chopper. You
hmm
know, it's like he's breaking the command. He needs to learn that unless he's released, he can't come out of that down.
Yep.
So I was really confused when I first started watching Mark. And then I slowly started to see him transition from that, which is what
Yeah.
I used to do, to just completely working with the dog um, rather than against the dog. So Ophi, obviously, the Dalmatian didn't want to be in a down,
Mm.
didn't want to be just, forced to to lie down whilst he was talking into the camera. So he started to work with her, and I feel like he's like leaps and bounds in just that. I think it's been 12 months for him as well. So
Yeah.
maybe our
It's
all
about
three
this.
journeys
It's
started
about the
together.
same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I don't think I have not asked Chopper to do a single thing like no sit, no drop, no. When we play with the ball and whatever, I'll say out, and he just outs it
Yeah.
right away. But it's not for him to. It's not for me to have possession and then for him to do something for him to then start the play again. It's just an out so that I can hold what he's got and then we continue playing. There's no what's I don't know what's the word. There's
It's about
no
cooperation.
hmm?
It's about cooperation.
Correct. There's no prerequisite for him. He doesn't have to do anything
Mm.
for the game to start again. It's
Yep.
just a game. Whereas before,
You got to work
it
for it.
was he had to work for it. And so if we were playing ball or whatever tug, he would have to out. Then he would have to sit, drop, heel. It would be a thing
hmm
so that he could then get what he wanted, which was to play. And that was the dog trainers telling me that in order for because they can play all day, but in order to tire the brain, you need to put in the commands.
Yeah.
Whereas that's just not the case. He
And
plays for 5 minutes and he's like, "I'm done.
yeah, most
I'm done.
dogs
We're,
most dogs
we're
don't have
good."
the stamina.
No,
You know,
no.
stamina's built
I
up. I
mean,
mean, especially with a dog like Choppa. I mean, he chased that remote control car for what 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and he was done.
that's it. And
Yeah.
he's literally
Yep.
hanging like he's frothing. At one point, my husband said, "I think we killed the dog."
Yeah.
So it's just it's a he's a different dog. I'm a different person. I feel.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what has to happen. You have to change yourself in order to help your dog, right? And
Yeah.
the whole thing
Yeah.
is, for the last year, he's been teaching you how to be an animal.
Hundred
That's the whole
percent.
thing, you know? And that's the big problem today. I mean, people have no idea. I mean, most people fight the idea that we're animals, so they don't understand their own behaviors, and that's what Skinner would tell you. You know, if you haul off and strike somebody, why did you do it? Most people couldn't tell you why.
Yeah.
It was because of the instinct, the emotion instinct called anger, that you did it.
Yeah.
You know. Now
But I'm
what?
not an angry person.
No, no. But what caused the anger in the first place? That's the whole thing. That's the diagnosis, right? Chances are,
Correct.
if I was with somebody in a bar and they hauled off a slap me, chances are I said something wrong to them, knowing me.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is, right? But if we don't understand our own behaviors, because we deny our own animal, and if we deny our own animal, guess what? We can't understand the dog,
Yeah.
and we don't understand the dog's behavior. So we're watching dogs fight and flight, and we don't realize that we're doing the same things.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, Skinner would tell people to replace dog with human, replace dog with a human child. Now, what would you do different? And people go, well, you're crazy. Well, that's exactly what he's doing in the lab. He replaced human with dog, pigeons, rats, and everything else.
Yeah.
Because he was learning about their behaviors and he was learning about ours. We were the target of his research.
Yeah.
But don't people just want to deny it, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly what I did. Once I understood what I had done, I had to look at him as the way I would look at a friend, like because that's what I wanted. Essentially, I wanted him to be, friendly. I wanted him to be my companion.
Yep.
So if I have a great relationship with my husband, I don't treat him like that. Why was I doing that to my
I
to my
always
dog?
say if I treated my friends the way dog trainers are telling people to treat your dogs, you wouldn't have any friends at all.
Yeah,
Nobody would want to be near me.
yeah,
You know, you can't be controlling and domineering.
yeah,
You know, and I'm sorry, but
yeah.
dog owners become very narcissistic. I mean, you said that yourself.
Oh, that was me
Yep. And it's in multiple
for
ways
sure.
because I mean, people are online looking for validation. Look, look what I can do. Look what I've accomplished, and whatever have you. And that's a
Yeah,
serious problem today, right?
yeah.
So,
That was definitely me. It felt so good having him do, you know, the sport type, not the elite type, obedience, but just in group class, local dog training, and he could sit and drop, and I could walk away, and I could call him to me, and that the trainers would use him as a demo dog, but at home people didn't see what he was like
yeah, behind closed doors. And
behind
that's the
closed
big
doors.
thing, like when I watch Dog Daddy, what he puts on camera is bad enough. I can only imagine what happens behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And a lot of these other trainers too, because I guarantee you, in the 5 minute video you're watching on camera, there's a lot more shit going on behind the camera.
Oh, for sure. For me, it was my Chopper didn't want anything to do with me.
Hmm.
Chopper would, if I was sitting on the couch watching TV, he'd be on the opposite side of the couch.
Yep.
He only did for me, or even it was self, whatever it was would be self-serving. If I had a treat, if I had a ball,
Yep.
then yeah, he would do. And even in class, I that do you know at one point, can I just say, I had treats like in containers in every room of the house.
Yeah. I believe it.
It was ridiculous.
And I mean, let's get a show of hands. How many people have had any success using positive reinforcement treats or balance training other than outside of control and management?
No, I did have success. That's the thing.
But it was under control and
I did.
management.
Correct.
Yep.
And without the treats, I had nothing.
Yep. Well,
And so then I had to go to the tools because, well, clearly I don't want to be using treats for the rest of my life
mm-hmm.
or the rest of his life. So I'm doing something wrong.
Yep.
So then I went to the tools.
Well, that's what happens. People start off in positive reinforcement because, hey, it's a good one. But
Yeah,
guaranteed, it's going to springboard you into balance training. So, I mean, people like Zach George, positive reinforcement trainers, are in actuality the bread and butter for balance training.
yeah,
You start off with inducements. I mean, people think that you have quadrants of positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and punishment. No, it's not. what positive reinforcement trainers are calling themselves is it should be actually a primary inducement. That's food and affection.
Yeah.
And when the inducements stop working, guess what? Then you're off to the inducive compulsions. The other two quadrants, the punishment quadrants. And that's exactly what Conrad Most stated in his book. It's primary and secondary, yeah, primary and secondary inducements and primary and secondary inducive compulsions.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why balance training is called compulsion-based dog training. It's crazy, Yeah.
I must.
Hey, you got to be close.
Yeah. So about that closeness, um, Chopper is at home. I can leave the room and he's fine. He'll look up, see where I'm going, and then you know rest again. Vinny, on the other hand, my little toy poodle cross, although he's making a liar out of me now because I can see him in the backyard. He was lying here just before. Um, he he follows me everywhere. That's probably my only. I wouldn't even call it an issue. It doesn't bother me, but I just hi, here he is. But I just don't. I don't want it. He's he'll be 3 in May. Um, I don't want it affecting him. But I don't know in what way it would be affecting him. I can leave him. I can leave the house. I know he whines at the door because I can hear him. But then he calms down. He'll just go and sleep somewhere. So it's definitely not a separation anxiety the way I understand separation anxiety to be. But if I got up now and walked into another room, he would follow me.
But
That
separation anxiety itself has many causes.
yes,
I mean, what causes anxiety? Stress can cause anxiety, fear. Lack of trust.
yeah,
Does
it's
he?
none of those.
So I mean,
He does,
a lot of times when people leave the house, the dog doesn't trust you coming back. And
yeah,
there's other dogs that have taken their job. Like a dog can only meet their needs with the resources that they have, so they actually pick a job themselves, and it could be protecting the owner. And I've seen dogs actually jump out the freaking window to smash through a pane of glass to get out to find the owner. There's
yeah.
different reasons for the separation anxiety.
Yeah, it's none of that though.
No.
He doesn't have any of that, and like I said, I've watched him on the camera where he'll have a whinge when I leave, and sometimes I leave because I do a lot of things separately with them. I don't. They're not always together with me.
Mm-hmm.
So if I leave, take Chopper out, he'll have a sook at the door, but then he'll go and calm down. He'll just go and lie on the couch and fall asleep. I can see him on the camera. But like I said, if I got up now to go into another room, he'll follow me. He follows me everywhere in the house. And like I said, it doesn't bother me, but I just don't want him in that frame of mind. But again, so I can just see him now. So I'll just show you. I don't know. I don't know. That's a camera. I don't know if you can see, but he's outside.
Okay.
So I'm upstairs. I'm at home upstairs, and we've got cameras into the backyard. So he's just gone outside. So he's fine. He's not an insecure dog. He's a confident dog, but he's just constantly like, do I take that as, okay, well, that's, he is they are, what do you call them, companion dogs.
Yeah.
So,
Is he a cuddly dog? Like, is he snuggling in all the
oh,
time?
he's
And
very cuddly.
and
But
do you pet him all the time?
only, no, not, like if he comes and lies down next to me, for me, that's not an invitation to pat him. He's just lying down next to me. But if he rolls over onto his back and exposes his tummy, then I know he wants a little tummy pat. And I'll give him a little tummy pat, and then he'll get up and then he'll move away.
Yeah, this
So,
doesn't seem to be affecting him, so I wouldn't worry too much about it.
yeah, no, it's not. No. So, like I said, so he's outside now with my husband. So he's not like attached to me, but yeah, anyway, I don't think it's an issue, like I said. I just don't want it to become something for him. I don't mind that he follows me everywhere, and
Well,
he's not.
there's been a lot of change for him too. I mean, living with Choppa and dealing with all the stress of having Choppa around and whatnot. I mean, it's going to take a toll on him too, right? And I
Yeah,
mean, he's been picking up on your stress with Choppa and the whole 9 yards. But I mean,
yeah,
lately now you're a different person, right? And he's noticing
yeah,
everything's changed in you.
yeah,
Now,
yeah. True.
have you noticed he's changed? The poodle's changed since all of this stuff's been going like getting more positive.
Um, no, he hasn't. He's been fine. You want to come up? There we go. Can you see? Say hi,
Mm.
Mister. Say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. Off this way, boy. No, he's been fine, but I didn't do to him what I did to Chopper. Are you saying that he'd be experiencing my calm? Definitely. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because
probably.
quite often, I mean, how would you put this? Dogs take a while. I mean, Chopper would have taken a while to come around to you because you were always associated with reward and punishment. And that's
Yeah,
the main reason why a lot of dogs tend to stay away. Like when I worked with Helly, she was, I mean, that poor dog. I mean, she went through 6 different trainers and they all said to put her down. But today, Helly's
yeah,
running dog parks.
yeah,
But her owner, Chelsea, said the same thing because, like, Helly would, if Chelsea was sitting on the couch, Helly would be in the crate.
yeah,
Really wanted nothing to do with her. But it just, over time, once we started working together, over the course of a couple of weeks, that changed, and Helly was more pronounced to be sitting on the couch with her and joining her and whatnot. Instead of barking at the everything outside, she joined her owner.
yeah,
You know, but quite often, I mean, when you get dynamics of two different dogs, I mean, it could be something that he's seen in Choppa. It could be a little bit of jealousy. It could be a lot of things, and I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about it. If he's not
mm.
stuck to you like glue and howling and all full of separation anxiety,
No,
I wouldn't worry about it because they are really companion dogs.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, definitely no, no, definitely no. Like he's just here. It's just
yeah.
lying on the ground next to me. Chopper's coming, near almost. Chopper's just lying over there now.
Mm,
Um, No, definitely not separation anxiety. But like I said, if it's not a big deal for him,
I wouldn't worry about it.
he just likes being around me. I'm positive now. I'm calm. He's like, yeah, I want to be
Yep.
like Chopper's now lying in the room that I'm in. He would have never done that in the past.
Mm.
He would have been outside while I was inside, that kind of thing. So
But it's But again, it's interesting to watch the last video. Like he's really starting to learn to self control, and
yeah,
it's all about self management of behaviors, right? He's able to control his own behaviors now through the limbic system and whatnot. But it's
you know,
interesting. It's interesting to watch him with dominance and submission because that, like I said, that Aussie Shepherd, she was a she was a very different dog, and she was like the right dog. Eh?
so when you said that, when you wrote that, I had another look. It's so good to take to video to record. I had another look and I saw it. I saw exactly what you meant by she
She was begging.
helped.
She was begging for domination.
Yes.
And it's such a cool thing to watch. I mean, that's real domination submission. I mean, trainers that claim that you got to be dominant. No, you're an abuser. Dominance by
Yeah.
force is abuse.
Yeah.
The reality
And
is, the
he,
submission is always in control.
and I feel like he obliged.
hmm He's trying to figure it out. I mean, you can see he was puffed up when he was barking at the that little pocket pit, right? But even his bark was different. It was more pronounced. It was a dominant bark, right?
Yeah.
But that's
So
exactly it.
he's
So he had two. He had the pocket pit and the Aussie Shepherd. They were both kind of,
yeah, yeah.
and then to
And
watch the two of them dance.
both females.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. It looked like both were vying for his attention almost.
And
Like,
then you can see when the two females actually interacted, they were actually almost fighting over it, right?
yeah, yeah,
In kind of an odd way.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, for sure.
But it's so cool, right?
Yeah. No, it was good to watch. And he after that, we were there for about 20 minutes. He slept all day.
Hmm.
He literally slept all day.
But you notice how the
Um,
hardest part is to just trying to remain calm, even when he's off leash. You're not sure what's going to happen. You got to try to remain calm and be quiet. That's
yeah,
always the hardest part, right? You got to let him make that choice and figure out what's going to happen. It's
yeah.
always
I'm
it's
definitely
always the unknown, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely like I do a lot of talking, but that's to calm me down. And
I do
and
the same.
when I watch some of my old videos in the dog park, I'm like erratically talking,
Hmm.
and now you can hear that I'm just a lot more calm even when I'm speaking to the other people. But for me, it's really important because he still comes in with that big kind of
Yep.
the hackles
The
and
dominance.
the dominance that it can be frightening because he's so big
Yep.
to other owners. So I just for their sake, and then if they're calm, once I tell them that he has no intent to harm, you can literally see like they're like, oh, okay,
Yep.
no, that's okay, and then I explain what we're doing there. They calm down, and so therefore their dog don't their dog doesn't feel their anxiousness, and then
Yep.
their dog becomes anxious, and then we've got two anxious dogs together.
That's
So
right.
that's why I do so much communicating
Yep.
in when I walk in there, um, and it's definitely helped. It's helped me, and it's I think it's helped Chopper. He goes in differently to. I mean, I take the lead off straight away now.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so we'll be doing a lot more. We'll be doing a lot more of that, and now I'm confident to go in regardless of like there's that Irish Wolfhound. I don't know if you could see it in the video. She left and was walking on the outside of the dog park, and he went over. Didn't go right up to the fence, but he went over and kind of investigated, and then kind of walked away. So they tell me that the Irish Wolfhound is good by nature, but the owner is a little bit funny.
Yep.
So
We got a
you
few.
know,
We got a few wolfhounds here. They're massive dogs, but they're gentle giants.
yeah,
We got a couple of Russians and some Irish wolfhounds and whatnot.
they're huge,
But they're
and the only big
very easygoing dogs.
yeah,
Thankfully.
I can see that from that black one. The only big dogs he's come across are Pete's dogs.
Yep.
So um, yeah, but no, he's like he lets me cut his nails, Dremel his nails before. A year ago, I'd have to have treats. I'd have to
Yep.
literally trim one nail, give him a treat. He would show me teeth. Now he doesn't show me teeth, but he'll tell me that he wants to stop by either just like resting his chin on my hands. So if I've got his paw and I'm trimming here, he'll do that.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's telling me that we're
Yep.
done it. We've had enough now. I need a break.
Yep.
Whereas before, he would show me teeth.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I would push through it because the dog trainers were like,
Keep
he
going.
can't show you teeth.
Yep.
You keep going and you tell him this is what we're doing and we're doing it now.
It's like Monty. When I go to cut Monty's nails, I always present the clippers to him, and if he licks them, you know what? Feel free. If he turns his head,
Yeah,
then not right now. So I'll try again later on. It's
yeah,
just all about choosing the battles. There's no sense of fighting with the dog.
yeah,
You know.
yeah,
We'll try again later
yeah,
on. It's the same with
yeah,
CBD oil. I mean, I load the syringe, I present it to him. If he licks the syringe, then shove it in his mouth, and
yeah,
away you go.
yeah,
If he turns his head, he doesn't want it right now.
yeah, yeah.
Well, we don't give the dog any decisions, right? That's the whole
No,
problem, right?
what kind of friendship is that? Imagine that a one way friendship, my way or the highway. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't work with anyone.
And that's the whole thing. Like, you can see where Choppa's changing really quick now is he's starting to learn to rationalize. And
Yeah,
instead of going fight and flight, he's turned around. Okay, you know what? Now he's making things a positive consequence, right? Not a big deal.
yeah,
And more
yeah,
things are becoming not a big deal for him. And
yeah.
that's all positive reinforcements too, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our walks are a delight. I look forward to them now.
Yeah.
I used to dread. I knew he had to go out. I'd go
Oh,
out at times where I knew there weren't many people, or I would walk, secluded areas. He just walks past dogs now. It's not a problem.
yeah.
If they're close enough, he'll kind of tell me if he wants an interaction or not,
Well,
and
think
I
about
will
it.
only
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and I would only, I don't want to say the word allow, but I would only have the interaction if the other owner
Yep.
is up for it, happy to, and if both dogs are calm. If the other dog is pulling towards, or if Chopper's too excited, it won't. I just say maybe next time we just keep walking.
Yep.
And he looks up at me like, but why?
And the thing of
And
it
I just say,
is, dog training is making people antisocial.
and
That's
that's what.
Dog training is making people antisocial.
Oh yeah, that
And
was
then
me.
and then they're wondering why the dog is antisocial, right?
Yeah,
There's a trickle down
yeah,
effect.
yeah,
But I mean, starting off when I first met you, I mean, people need to realize if you don't trust your dog, then you're in a toxic relationship. And in reality, all we are products of our environment. The dog is a product of our environment. If that environment is narcissistic and toxic, then there's a reason why they know negative reinforcement to the dog, and that's
yeah,
the negative reinforcement is shaped behaviors, right?
yeah.
And people
That
don't
was it.
realize if people don't realize that their own dog is fighting a fight from them.
Mm, that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I. It's so obvious. It is so obvious how he was when we were out together, and how he is now.
Yep.
So obvious. But Robert, I was doing like a training, ridiculous amount of training, because that's what I thought. I thought it just, it needs to be drummed into him. The obedience needs to be drummed into him. Like every day we were training, and not just the training I was doing at home. It we would we were going to classes almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. And
It
and
is.
I was doing, so I was seeing different trainers on different days so that we had different dogs,
Mm-hmm.
because trainers would say to me, oh yeah, he's great now, but that's because he knows these dogs, even though he never came in contact with the dogs. But they were the same dogs week in, week out, the same scent, they were never allowed to meet,
Mm-hmm.
like they were never allowed to sniff each other or play or anything like that, but that we were in the same group class. And so they're like, oh, you've got to be careful, because he's like this now because it's the same dogs.
Yep.
You've got to get him around to be like this with. I was, well, how the hell's that going to happen? So I joined more classes with different trainers. It was just
And it's just.
it was a shit show.
And how much money do you spend overall?
Now, I can't say it out loud because it would warrant a divorce, like literally, um, in the tens of thousands.
That's why I did
Yeah.
that blog. That's why I did the blog about suing your dog trainer. That's ridiculous.
So I definitely, probably about 3 months ago, I got really angry. I was so angry. I'm not angry about it anymore, but I was so angry that I really did want to reach out to every single dog trainer that I paid money to ask them why, to ask them, basically why. Why did they do that to me? But I got over that really quickly, and I have nothing to say to them.
It's all they
I
know to
want
do.
to persuade.
It's all they learn to do, and it's all they know to do.
Yeah, I would rather concentrate my energy on where I am now, and the future with my two dogs than go back. I've learnt. I'll try and help anyone that I can see is heading down the direction like where I was, heading down that direction. I've got friends that just bought a puppy. It's a little Groodle, so that's a golden retriever cross poodle. So that's going to be a big dog.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, oh, we want it trained. We want it trained the way Choppa is. And I said, you do not want it trained the way Choppa is. You do not want to go down that route. So, I've told them, do not join any classes, do not go to puppy school, do not put him in a crate. Do the absolute opposite to what I've done. And they were like, but really? But Chopper's so well behaved. I said, that's not why he's well behaved.
That's
The
right.
reason he's well behaved is because I meet his needs every day. And so because I meet his needs, he then meets my needs. And my needs are just to
Yeah,
have calm. That's it.
that's
And
it.
he knows that. That video that you posted, the documentary, oh, that was, everyone needs to watch that.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to watch that because they're so smart. They can work out. They
Hmm.
can work out what we need, what makes us happy, what makes us sad, what makes us. They just know, and they know what to give us in return.
It's the predictive. It's the predictive brain.
It's crazy I forgot that puppy's name, the one with the white paws. It's in the first half of
Yeah,
the
Machi or something like that. Yeah.
Kiri something, I don't know, I
Yeah.
can't remember, but wow. I was like, that dog worked out how to please and how it can become important in the humans world and be looked after. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So
Um
who tamed who, right? Who domesticated who? It
exactly.
begs the question, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
dogs are always
Absolutely.
watching us. Your dog is always watching you. They're always learning from your behaviors,
Yeah.
and you teach through
Uh,
leading. That's the difference, right?
sorry?
You teach through leading.
The teacher leading. Yeah.
Teach through example. What do you want
Yeah.
the dog to do? Do it yourself. I had a
Yeah.
I had a client that had went up and bought a new doghouse. The dog wanted nothing to do with it. So I said, what? Squeeze your ass in the doghouse. Get into the freaking doghouse. Call the dog in. Well, as soon as she went into the doghouse, the dog came right in. You know, take the
Yeah.
lead and show the dog. You know,
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So true.
But I mean, you look so much more relaxed and happier, and you don't look frustrated
Oh,
anymore. You look completely different. That's
I'm a different person.
Yeah,
I am a different person.
it's a life changing thing, isn't it?
I think even when I spoke to you a year ago, I mean, I was excited. I was excited to talk to you because I had watched quite a lot of your stuff for probably a month or two before I joined the group and before I booked a call with you. But I was still a nervous wreck. I
Mm-hmm.
was my even just setting up the camera to talk to you back then. My heart was like beating out of its chest, out of my chest. That's not the case anymore. Yeah, just I see someone walking towards us with a dog. My heart's not beating out of my chest anymore.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm definitely a different person. I'm a lot more calm with my. I've got adult sons that really need to move out. Sorry, I shouldn't say.
Good luck with
Um,
that.
yeah, I know, but they would rile up the dogs on the couch, and I've always had this thing that I want for inside the home to be calm. I've had that from when both dogs were puppies, so but sometimes it doesn't happen. Anyway, my sons would rile them up, like literally, what's the word? Roughhouse with them.
Hmm.
And I'd be yelling at them and to stop because, I don't want the dogs roughed up like that in the house. If you want to do that, go and do it outside.
Yeah, get outside. The house should be calm.
The house should be calm. But anyway, it would just be a shit show because I'd be yelling. The boys are like, shut up, mum, ignoring me. Chopper could feel my anxiety yelling at the dogs, and then
It's not
he
just
would
it's
go,
not it's not just feeling it. You stink of fear to the dog. That's the thing, right?
and I was afraid that he would bite them. I didn't want him biting them
Hmm.
or hurting them.
Yep.
Um, and then he would actually break skin. Like his play went from play to bite,
Yep.
and then they'd crack it and they'd be like, "You stupid dog,"
But the whole thing is
yeah,
the dog is getting more and more amped up, right? The dog is building more and more cortisol, and
yeah,
when people talk about dangerous dogs, I mean when your cortisol levels go up through the max, it's driving your blood pressure up, and then all of a sudden your eyes are getting bloodshot, and then
I've seen it.
all bets are off, right?
I've seen it with him.
Yeah.
His eyes, and even my youngest son, who was probably 19 or 20 at the time, he's 22 now, so he would have been 19. He's like, Mum, Chopper's eyes are bloodshot.
Yep.
And I was like,
That's
I didn't
dangerous.
know what that was. No, I didn't know what that was back then. And I was like, well, just leave him alone.
Yep.
Just stop, amping him up. Just leave him. Or if you're going to do it, go and do it outside. I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want to see it. And for me, it was, I didn't want him to associate me with that. I didn't want that. I wanted, because I can't stop him if he gets too amped up like that. I've never rough played with him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was. My sons have seen that bloodshot eyes.
Yep.
I've seen it.
When I see it, I get bit.
Yeah. Well, they've been bit.
Yeah.
My husband's been bit. He's bit my husband on the foot because he had a bone, and you can go up and take his bone, not take it, but you can go and sit next to him. You can touch him. I tell them not to, because why do you have to? Like, why do you need to show pony? But anyway, my husband was walking past, and he dead stopped in front of Choppa. And I said to him, don't be an idiot. Leave him alone. And he's like, he won't do anything. And he stuck his foot near the bone and he growled.
Yep.
And I said, if you want to fuck around and find out, he's growling. He's telling you to fuck off.
Yep.
He goes, yeah, but he won't actually do anything.
We got 20 seconds left. Can we take a 2-minute break and I'll get back to you? I'll send you a new link.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, done.
Okay.
Done. Bye.
Bye. But yeah, it's insane to see. I'm slowly starting to change my own thinking, because I'm starting to realize now that the battle is not with dog trainers; it's always been with dog owners. Because the first time people made comment to me was on one of my blogs, and it's still up there. I'm gonna have to post that to the group one of these days, just to give people a laugh, because it was a string of expletives and something about you blew my mind. And then he joined the group, right? And then he started getting into it. And we had a talk a while back, and I had asked Pete, I said, if 5 years ago somebody had told you were going to be a dog trainer, you would have laughed at him, right? He said, yeah, you're damn right. And now I'm watching you're posting videos helping other people.
Yeah.
So, you're starting to get into it as well. You're helping people in dog parks. You're actually out talking to people, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I feel I have to absolutely tell people that I am where I am today because I stuffed up my dog, and I stuffed up my dog because of dog training. Yep. And for the most part, people in the dog park are like, yeah, it's like they know.
Yep.
They're not. It's not a surprise. I've not had one person say, "Oh, really? How did dog training stuff up your relationship?" Not one person, because they're like, yeah, the people in the dog park aren't in the dog training realm, like industry, or haven't gone down that path. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the dog park.
Yep.
I wasn't in the dog park with Choppa because the dog trainers told me that's an absolute no-no. Do not ever go on the outside, do a lot of work on the outside, have Choppa focus on me under distraction and work, across the road first, and then, and treats, and correction. If he looks, let him look, he can look, but as soon as he shows, just before the ears or the tail stiffens, correct.
Yeah. Step in. Get in the way of that rationalization process. You're actually stopping it. The dog never gets to learn to rationalize.
Absolutely. I've actually seen talk to people in the dog park that remember me from 3 years ago doing that rubbish on the outside. It's actually embarrassing. I'm like, yeah, I was that person. I was that person that was trying to control and manipulate my dog into not looking at your dogs and looking at me instead.
it's like the LAT protocol, LAT. You've heard of that, right? I think it's part of Krista Stewart's kind of a deal.
No.
Anyways, there's a protocol to use called Look at That. And
Oh,
I break it down to like dog trainers would tell people look at or keep focus on me. Tell them listen to what I'm. Don't look over there. You might find you get truth, right?
yeah.
And the problem is people like me that are the truth because I'm. It's
Yeah.
not about me. I don't give a shit if people know my name or not. All I am is a messenger from B.F. Skinner. That's all I am.
Yeah.
If people want to listen, great. If they don't, that's fine too. But it's just interesting to see so many dog trainers against me. They all blame B.F. Skinner for this garbage. But yet, through the thousands of trainers I've talked to in the last 15 years, not one of them has ever sat down and read a book. The one guy in the group, or one dog trainer in the group, remember, he never came back at me. He said, or he boasted, "Oh yeah, I read all the books on Skinner." I said, "You wouldn't be tagging yourself as dog trainer in a behavior ring if you had read Skinner.
Yeah.
Don't give me that
Yeah.
shit." So
Yeah.
they're over at lying in so many different ways, and it's just levels upon levels of lies.
Yeah.
You
You
know?
know what? Here's the thing. I don't have to read. I can't read Skinner. I've tried. The book that you've got on in the face group um, tabs. I can't read it,
Mm.
but I understand what you're saying. I understand what Peter's saying. I understand Mark, and I I don't have to read Skinner to see the difference
Hmm.
that in my dog and
Yeah.
in me. I don't need to read that book.
No, you don't need
But
to. I mean, there's plenty of blogs on the website. I mean,
I've read them all.
between
I've
between
read
the
all those.
between the two websites, it should be all self help. But the problem is we don't get a whole lot of views.
I don't understand why. I really I,
People
I I'm
people don't want to self educate anymore. People want to be told by experts, and the experts are all
yeah,
lying
but
to them, right?
yeah, but you're telling me.
Hmm.
You're telling me. I can see the difference. Now if I was a dog trainer and I can see I'm not, but it's say if I was, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not teaching him anything.
Hmm.
He's becoming the way he's becoming because of the changes that I've made. I'm no longer using tools, treats, commands, control, and management. If I was a dog trainer, I'm not making money
Yep.
trying to get people to do what I've done.
Yeah.
I've not spent 1 cent, not 1 cent on treats, on tools, on anything dog training. I paid Peter when I met with him a couple of times because I'm paying for his time.
Yeah.
But there was no training involved.
No.
It was purely for Choppa to meet other dogs. He's looking at you like, what are we doing?
Hmm.
What's going on? Um, Actually, he's looking at you going, this is the first time you've got headphones on and you're super calm.
Turkey. Hey.
Um,
Yes. Okay.
yeah,
Relax.
so that's the reality, Robert, is that not 1 cent after having spent thousands in the last 3 years, that this last 12 months I've not spent any money on dog training.
And that's what I keep telling
Um,
people. I mean, once you fire your dog trainer and go it alone, you
yeah,
realize that you're the only one that can change it. You're the only one that can build a relationship with your
yeah,
dog.
yeah.
That's
But
just
I didn't
reality.
have to read Skinner. I didn't have to read Skinner to
Well,
to
you've
to
read enough of
find
what I
that.
put. You've read enough of my
Yes,
diagnosis and talking about it. So I mean,
all of it. I've
yeah,
read all of your blogs and I've
yeah,
read all of Peter's blogs, and they all make sense. But for me, reading Skinner was very, very, very difficult. Even
yep.
that paragraph you sent me, I was like, you need to put this in layman's terms because it was just,
But it
it
is.
goes over the top,
But
but
once you understand it,
in
it's pretty crazy. Because I mean, Skinner talked all about dog training. He didn't. I don't think he realized he was talking about dog training. But everything he talks about, like methodological behaviorism
correct.
versus
Yeah,
radical behaviorism, methodological behaviorism effectively cuts the head off the dog. It doesn't care about emotions and instincts and everything else. It's just
yeah,
focusing on behavior. And then he's going into the that we're not allowed to compare animals to humans. And it's just everything in that
yeah.
book. It's just I got to sit down one of these days and break the whole damn thing down, or break down the major parts of it,
Look at
into
Mon-
blogs and whatnot.
look at
Who's
look at
that?
Monty.
Hey,
Monty literally had his literally had his chin on your chest.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
He's getting old now. He's got a few skin
Why?
tags.
Yeah, how old is he?
He's 13 now.
Oh, he's got plenty of years
Oh yeah.
left.
Yep. He'll
They
probably go.
should be leaving. They should be living into their 20s.
Yep. Yep. Very much so.
Um, why is it that the likes of that I don't want to mention names, but the positive reinforcement trainers, the treat trainers, why do they still believe that treats are a positive reinforcement? Why is it that um, they're not looking at reinforcements through the eyes of the dog?
The problem is positive reinforcement sounds a lot better than primary inducement. Imagine Zach George calling himself a primary inducement trainer. People are going to go, what the hell is that? But that's in reality what he's doing. It's food and affection. But treats
Yeah,
have nothing to do with positive reinforcement.
yeah,
Food is a base positive reinforcement, but the thing of it is, but base positive reinforcements, you shouldn't be using that to try to train a dog. You
yeah,
know,
right. But it
it's
works though. But, but it works.
it works to a certain extent, but you lose the relationship because you're
Yeah,
turning into a dictator instead of a leader.
yeah. And I think that's the part that they don't see because they're working with dogs that aren't their own.
Yeah, so it's
So they show that snippet of how it works,
mhm.
but then we don't ever see the dog again, and we don't ever hear from the owner um, again to know
Yep.
whether they've got what she wanted. Do
I
you know what
guess
I mean?
I guess what it boils down to,
I I, I think
people need to define the word success. What do you classify as success?
yeah.
Do you
I can
classify
guarantee
success?
you that
Do you classify success as pure control and management, or having your dog off leash run around the dog park? You know, that's what needs to be declared.
oh yeah. Um, success. Mhm. I don't just have my dog off leash on the dog park, and you can see clearly when it's time to leave. I don't have to call him. I just literally say, "Are we all done?" And he walks himself to the gate. I'm not trying to, catch him. I'm not recalling him to put a lead on. We literally walking together to the gate, where I then put a lead and we cross the road and get in the car.
Yep.
Like he's off, other than a neighbourhood walk because of the law, but he's off leash now. Oh, and the only other place I can't actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I can't have him off leash. He's on a long line, but is where we have kangaroos. We've got a lot of kangaroos where I live.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
They they can be dangerous
I
animals.
yeah, I they're very dangerous. So what they do is they will claw.
Yep.
If he jumps up to a kangaroo, they'll just claw him with their back feet. Um, or if we're anywhere near water, they'll drown them.
Yep.
So true story. So that is there. I fear him going after a kangaroo. And it's not because of prey drive. It's because of I'm curious. What is that? So we haven't been able to do like the work that Mark talks about. Put him on a lead, sit in the middle of kangaroos, and just let let him just
Well,
work it.
the whole thing is driven by interest because he doesn't understand what it is.
Interest.
And the
Correct.
thing of it is, all
Yeah.
he's got to do is remain calm. So
Yeah.
instead of something being a big deal in the environment, he wants to chase and check out. You know what? Just have him like keep him on a leash, and when you're around kangaroos,
Yeah.
just stand there
Yeah.
and just block him and let him watch it. But just
Yeah.
do it in a calm
That's
state.
yeah.
You know?
That's the hard part though,
Yep.
is that it's not like the kangaroos are just, if I go to a place that they're all just there, they just come out of nowhere. So
Mm-hmm.
he has to be on lead for that. Um, but they literally just,
Yeah, I mean,
bounce out.
some of those kangaroos are bloody jacked. They're like bodybuilders.
You have no idea. I don't know what the hell's happened to our kangaroos in the last 20 years. They're
Mm-hmm.
like of their chest.
Oh yeah.
They've got biceps and shoulders,
Yeah.
and they're so scary, and they are huge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my dog curiously going up to any kangaroo, you know.
Yep.
So yeah, that one there is a tough one, I guess. I don't know how
I
do you
wouldn't even.
guys
I wouldn't know where to start because I've never met a kangaroo before.
you know
I'd have to meet the animal and try to understand the animal in order to try to get a dog to work with it, right?
yeah.
And well, you're
Um,
never going to see a
so
kangaroo around here.
yeah, that's right. So for the most part, um, they they're not interested. The kangaroos are not interested in coming up to you.
Hmm.
In fact, the problem is that when they see you, they move. If they stand still, Chopper knows that they're there. He can smell them, but he can't see them. So for Chopper, it's just a tree. But the minute it takes off, then
Yep.
he sees the movement and then he's interested. So that's why he has to be on a long line because I believe he would take off after it just to go and get close enough to really,
Investigate. Yeah.
what are you? Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Um,
if you can get him out into a field where there's kangaroos, I mean, if you can get him smelling poop and urine and whatnot, that would be a great way to do it.
well, there's
Just to
plenty of so
introduce, right?
so he eats the kangaroo poop. There's
Okay.
plenty. That's why I know he knows their smell. I know he knows what they are. It's that movement that
Yep.
spikes his curiosity because it's not just running; they're bouncing.
Yep.
So
Something
anyway,
totally off the wall, right? But I mean, you just got to figure out a way to make it not a big deal.
yeah,
Just be
yeah,
calm around a kangaroo. There's no sense in chasing it. And
yeah,
like I say, for me, if I want a dog to not chase something, I'll just stand there and hold the dog by the collar
yeah,
and let
yeah,
them figure it out. Let them calm down. Let them, you know what? It's not a big deal. I'm not making it a big deal. You know,
yeah. That's what
I'm not running through the field chasing this thing. Why are you?
yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah.
But
That's
again,
what has to happen.
it's
It's
leadership.
just
It takes time.
it takes time, and with this, it's not something that you can create. Sometimes I go out to those fields and there's no kangaroo. I don't see any, and I'm like, well, you could have been off lead this whole time.
Hmm.
But sometimes, you know,
Yep. It's like Monty. I mean,
they pop up at the night.
well, Monty's supposed to be a hunting dog. I mean, he's not much of a hunting dog. He'll sniff the gopher holes and whatnot, but otherwise he couldn't give a shit. You know, if he sees a mouse or a squirrel,
Mm,
he's gonna chase after it, but he's not trying to kill it. He's just chasing it, right? But I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
how did he manage to become indifferent to it? I don't know. You know, he's figuring it his
Well,
own head, but I mean, for me, nothing's a big deal, so he doesn't make anything a big
yeah.
deal.
I would
You
say
know,
that's how.
if I were out chasing squirrels and chasing mice through the fields and whatnot, I'm sure he'd be chasing me doing it too, right? Because he'd be
Yeah,
watching my own behaviors. So I mean, when the dog is watching your own behaviors and you're not getting excited about the kangaroos, you're not chasing through the field. At some point, they're going to say, okay, you know what, I'm not going to bother either. But
mm,
it's all about that predictive brain with the dog, right? So I mean, if next time you watch a dog, you ever watch baseball?
no, it's not
Okay,
really
so
an expression.
let's say somebody hits a ball and it goes out into a center field, and you got the center fielder standing there, they're using their predictive brain to watch the arc to get to find out an idea where it's going to be, where it's going to land. And most times you can catch a
Yeah,
ball that big from how many yards that it
yeah,
got hit, but you're catching that ball with
yeah,
a small glove, and that's called a predictive brain. Well, dogs do the same thing, and that's the whole thing about dogs watching
yeah,
their behavior. When we get back to that documentary, it's all predictive brain. Human
yeah,
beings have a predictive brain. Dogs have a predictive brain. And they are able to predict what we're doing.
yeah.
You know, dogs are bloody amazing. They're amazing creatures, and far more amazing than people ever are. Far more
Uh,
intelligent than a lot. I'm sorry, but they're far more intelligent than a lot of people. Far more capable than a lot of people. Yeah,
oh
great.
yeah, no,
People got disposable thumbs. Great. People can get into a car and drive. They can turn on a phone or navigate a phone, whatever have you.
mm,
But a dog is far more capable than human beings, and that's what they're meant for, right?
yeah,
They're
no
supposed to be our
arguments here.
tools. So it's just crazy. But we've lost our own understanding of animals, and we've lost understanding of behavior, and we've lost understanding of dogs. You know,
Yeah,
your dog is your mirror, and unfortunately, if you don't understand the animal that you are, then your dog's a mirror of that.
yeah,
You know, But now that you're all sideways, okay. But now that you're actually calmed down and you understand more about the animal that you are, because state of calm is a positive reinforcement. I read one of Peter's comments in the thread, and it's just the absence of anything negative. That's all it is a positive reinforcement.
Yeah, it's just crazy
You know,
how that. It's crazy. It's just crazy how that works.
yeah. Positive reinforcement is the removal of negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is the removal of positive reinforcement. They're yin and
Yeah,
yang. You can't have one with the other. So when these asshole positive reinforcement trainers are going, "Oh, it's all positive," no, it's not possible.
yeah.
There's always negative
Um,
consequences.
and the funny thing is too that when I have found that when I try and communicate that, they think I'm like on the other side. Like they think that you're an aversive.
Yeah.
That
Automatically.
when you try and tell them that the treats are bad, they think that we think the tools are good.
Yeah. That's automatic. That's the way people are trained now. So it's either positive reinforcement or balanced training.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
nothing in between. There's nothing on the outside of it.
No,
So
that's
you're
the
right.
crazy
It's
part.
either you use treats or you use freaking tools. That's it. And that's what I get all
Yeah,
the time. And I'm trying to explain to people, you know what? I don't use any of it.
yeah.
Now I got Dan McCluskey. I'm gonna have to do a video over him to shut him up because he keeps doing videos to me, seeing him. Yeah, I'm like Zach George bribing trainers. Fuck off.
Oh, I've
I got
stopped.
no time for Zach George.
I feel like I was losing brain cells watching or communicating with that man. So I stopped
Mm.
altogether. I wasn't learning anything from him. Like I don't learn. I mean, when I say learning, like when I watch Zach George, it confirms even further what what is wrong with all that.
Yep.
So when I was watching Dale, it was just to confirm even further what is wrong because he's aversive in his methods with
Well,
leadership. He
here's
demands he demands respect rather than that's how it comes across to me. So I had to
it's not
stop watching. It just was
it
ugly.
goes beyond that because Dale is using the Bible to his advantage. Okay,
Oh,
because
okay.
God made humans or animals subservient to human.
Oh
That's in the
yeah.
Bible, right? So I mean, now this is the excuse that he's using to walk a dog in a show collar. He can't walk a dog without a show collar on.
And that's the excuse he's using to remain a narcissist. That's it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I mean, it's pathetic. It's what it is. I'm watching dog trainers, and it's just bloody pathetic to watch them.
Yeah,
And it's just
yeah, for sure.
there's certain dog trainers that have shut themselves up because like one guy was coming at me. He sat down and read Dr. Burns' book, How Dogs Love Us.
Hmm.
And I think that was the book that was he's wrote four or five, but I think that was the one book where it was all about his journey to change. And towards the end of the book, it was just what this trainer didn't realize was that it was all about his journey.
Yeah,
And as he was reading the book, he was posting comments to me. He was posting videos to me.
yeah,
You're wrong, Doctor. I said, keep on
yeah,
reading the book. When you get to the end of the book, contact me. I never heard a fucking word
yeah,
since.
yeah. Exactly. That would be like me saying the tools and the treats and that was working for Chopper. So if you just stop there, you'd go, okay, well that works. But if you continue to hear the rest of my story, you'll know that it worked until it didn't.
Yep.
And then now this is working. Like this is there it's you can't even call it working. This is life. This is where we all want to be.
It's a life changing event, is what it is, and that's what owners just don't realize. I mean,
Yeah.
like I say, when we get off this video, go back and watch the first few minutes of our original consult. Now watch yourself now. I mean, you're a totally different person.
I know.
You
I
even
don't.
look different. You can see the stress is gone. It's all melted away.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a different personality.
I I I I know that. I can tell. I watched it the other day when I posted it onto the YouTube and I was like, "Oh God." I was still a mess even though but I had just started the journey of fixing the relationship and I had to fix me first.
Yep. Well, that's what it's
So,
all about. The dog's not broken. The dog doesn't need work.
no.
The
And I
dog the
actually
dog is a reflection of you.
yeah. There's a I made a comment about how he was so fearful of other dogs and he had no confidence that he would raise his hackles to make himself look bigger. And I know that now that was a lie. That's what dog trainer, because I asked dog trainers so many times, why does the hair on the back of his neck and back stand up so high every time he sees a dog? And they said to me, because he lacks confidence, he makes himself look bigger. Well, that's impossible, because you've said, and I agree 100%, make yourself have goosebumps. You can't.
Yep.
So that's his body's response. He's not making that happen. He doesn't have control over the hackles.
Yeah. So when the hair
He's
stand,
not,
when
he's
it,
not,
it's rare that the hair stand on the back of my neck. Bear actually scared me 3 times. She made the hair stand on the back of my neck 3 times. And
yeah,
that was the first sign of bloody fear. And
yeah,
the moment she drove the hair in the back of my neck, I mean, I can't control that emotion. I can't control that instinct. I can't
yeah,
control the hair of the hacksaw on the back of my neck. But
yeah.
as soon as she seen that, she came for me.
Right. Well, I used to have that every time I would see
Yep.
a dog coming towards us, or if we were approaching a dog, I'd be like, where do I've got to cross the road? I'd get the hairs, and I would get the
Yep.
heart rate. It was like I could not control it. And
Yep.
I now know that, well, that's what he was responding to.
Hmm.
He was responding to my fear.
Yep.
And so, because of the work, which is why I really needed to, back then, it's been over 6 months now, I really needed to get Pete's dogs, because I knew I trusted Peter, and I trusted that that Rollo, if he thought Rollo was not going to hurt Chopper, then I trusted that. And so that's why I did that for me. I did that for me. I didn't do that for
Yep.
Chopper to learn anything. I knew that Chopper's learning was going to come much further down the track. But I did that for me to see how far things could go with another dog
Yep.
that I trusted.
And the beautiful thing about Tibetan Mastiffs, I mean, when I watched Dog Daddy and Squatch, I mean, Squatch never once chose violence.
No,
And that's the
no,
amazing thing with Tibetan Mastiff. A lot of dogs, I mean, violence is a last resort,
yeah,
you know? And that's the nice thing
yeah.
with his dogs because violence is definitely a last resort. But I mean, when he turned on Choppa,
I
he
know.
never went to hurt him, but guarantee one, he straightened him out in
Yeah.
a hurry.
But even for me to see that Chopper didn't, when he mounted Rollo and when he was biting at his neck, he didn't he didn't break the skin. He had no, they're playing. He had no intent to harm. He just had no idea what to do with himself.
It was his own definition of dumbness, is what it was.
Yeah.
And he was being an asshole. He was being
He was being,
abusive, right? Because that's
that's
what he
what
was
he
getting,
knew.
right? That's what he knew to
That's
do,
what he
yep.
was doing for me.
Yep. But
Yeah.
now he's starting to realize, okay, you know what? The dominance, like what I'm doing right now, it's not dominance. So now again with the last video, getting back to the last video, I mean now you got the dominant submission dance, and he's starting to slowly figure it out.
Yeah.
And I got the funniest feeling next time he meets a submissive female that wants to be dominated, you're going to see him go for it.
Yeah.
He won't be barking. He'll be doing it. Like so, if I watch dogs like the female will lay on her back, and the male will
Yeah.
actually pretend bite her neck, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's not going to be any pain if the female yips and it's got to stop, right? Like I say, the
Yeah.
sub is always in control.
Yeah.
But
So
once he starts figuring that out, you're going to see a lot of changes in him.
yeah. So what, like, to me, now that I know, because you've explained it, what do I say to the owner of the other dog? That, because although the owner of that Australian Shepherd, she actually said to me, you can hear her say it in the video, oh, don't worry, she'll let him know.
Oh yeah,
If she'll let him know, she's very good at letting dogs know if she doesn't, if she doesn't want to be mounted.
yep.
And I was
She's
like, okay, great,
she
because
puts
I
it.
thought she looked like a puppy, so I didn't want that happening. And of course, I want him to learn from the dog, not me. I don't want to have to tell him, no, don't do that.
Mm,
But if he's not listening to the dog, then yes, I will step in.
yep.
But what do I say to the owner when their dog, like Pepper, the little round staffy, that so desperately wants to play with him and really baits him into, come on,
But
she's all up in his business.
that's not play. That's submission.
Right.
She wants to play the dumb sub. There's two dogs, like the Aussie Shepherd and the Pocket Pit. They were both looking to be a dominator. But you see, like in some dogs, whenever they go up to meet a dog, they roll over automatically, and that's not good. That's not healthy. Because again, when you go submissive like that, you're inviting dominance, and some dogs will take that the wrong way, and they'll actually go on the attack. Okay, but to see dogs like the Aussie Shepherd was the best example of it because she wasn't always doing that. She was a very
No.
confident dog, but you can see her choose to go submissive.
But all the play bows, there were a lot of
Yep.
play bows with her. Isn't that her trying to an attempt to get him to play?
Yeah. Yep.
And then did that not work? Because then all of a sudden he started chasing. They were
Mm-hmm.
all chasing one another.
Yep.
Was that play?
It all started off as dominant submission, and once Choppa started barking at like a he puffed up and went dominant bark
Yeah.
on the pit bull. That's when things started to change because now he's
Yeah.
starting to understand what dominance really is. Okay, and
So you
like I
you
say
think
with the Aussie, she actually put up boundaries, and he respected them. She would come up to him like, I can be submissive if you want, but I really don't give a shit. But then she started to play bells, and she kept going back and forth. And then between her and the little Steffi, the pit bull, it's interesting to watch the dynamics. That's why I love going to
yeah.
dog parks. I mean, I'll go to a dog park for 2 or 3 hours and just watch the goings on, just sit in the bank and watch what's going on. Right, Monty will bake in the sun.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? But it's very very interesting, and like once you get the dog that you want, and you can trust the dog off leash and whatever have you, then you can sit back and watch the behaviors. Now you're going to be learning from his behaviors, and he's going to be learning more from your behaviors because you're both calm, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But when you're worked up and your cortisol levels are up, your adrenaline levels are up, you're going fight or flight. Your dog is a mirror; they're a reflection of that.
Yeah.
But if you're calm, then your dog is a reflection of that.
Yeah.
So they're always watching you, and they're always kind of on par, right?
Yeah.
And then the big thing what you said about when you met Peter, the whole thing was you had to see him capable.
Mm.
And that's what Peter did, or Peter's dogs did. You know what? They showed that Chop was capable of
Yeah.
taking a good correction, of just being a dog. And I mean, there's a whole lot to that video too, because he played with Torah, but yet he wouldn't even dare kind of cross mark on Rollo's P spots. So that was all a sign of respect, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's interesting to watch the learning and the everything going on. It really is.
So we're trying to catch up. He's got car issues at the moment, but we're trying to catch up again to do an off leash walk with the three of them.
Yep.
Let them just so not a well, it's not really a dog park. It's just a dog friendly. So it's not enclosed.
Yep.
So they can go wherever. So yeah, we're trying to organise that over the next week or two, hopefully, when he gets his car sorted. But that'll be really interesting to see how he goes with Pete's dogs again. Because the last time we met up, it was at a very small confined dog park near his place. And yeah, Chopper didn't really. He was okay in their presence, but he was very like you could see he's very cautious about where they were, and
Yep. Hmm?
he wasn't truly relaxed.
Well,
So let's see.
with operant conditioning, you never truly trust your dog because you're always experiencing new things, and every time he meets something new in the environment with operant conditioning, it's going to be positive or negative. And it's from
Yeah,
those positive or negative responses, from the new things that he meets in the environment, that's going to build your trust.
yeah,
So, yeah, Pete trusts his dogs in certain areas. I trust Monty in certain areas, but there's still areas that I've yet to explore. There's going to
yeah.
be things that we're going to meet. There's going to be things that we're going to do in the future that I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what the outcome is going to be. So we
Of
never quite.
course.
It's always building on a relationship. It's always actually trying to figure it out, and you never truly trust a dog.
Yeah.
And it's just
Well, no,
that's the amazing part of it, right?
no different to my scenario with the kangaroos.
Yep.
I don't know what's going to happen. So how do I trust? I can't just because I trust him now. He's lying here, and I know he's not going to do anything. I can't take that trust and say, okay, there's a big grizzly bear. I trust that you won't go run up to it.
Yep.
Like that's crazy.
Hmm. But like I say, with Monty, there's certain things that dogs need to do on their own. I mean, with negative reinforcements, I mean, Monty, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, I was in a trail walking with a friend of mine, and Monty was off in the woods doing his thing, and not a big deal. And all of a sudden, he let out the screaming, the screeches. My blood ran cold because you can tell he was screeching in pain. And I went into the woods. He came running out, and he had found a wasp nest. He got stung 12 times, and he
Oh,
wasn't happy. But the thing
no.
of it was, I mean, that's his operant conditioning. Now he understands it's kind of like the hot or a child sticking their hand on a hot stove. That
Yep.
negative consequence automatically became a negative reinforcement to say, hey, you know what? Avoid it in the future.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened to Monty. So he got the negative consequence of stings. It immediately became the negative reinforcement that taught him, you know what? Avoid in the future.
Yep.
You know. Now, I mean, yeah, there's certain things where it can kill an animal. You know, if all of a sudden your dog like Choppa goes out and starts chasing kangaroos, I mean, if you got a 7 foot kangaroo turns around and strangles them, well, you got a problem.
Mm.
So I mean, yeah, how do you balance that? There's nothing around here that's going to hurt Monty. I mean, other than he'll get stung or bitten, whatever have you. But there's nothing around here that's venomous or poisonous for the
Mm.
most part. But it's just so that gives me a certain level of trust. But out in Australia, I mean, you got some crazy bloody spiders and snakes and kangaroos, and
Yeah, we do.
there's a lot of danger out in nature.
Yeah.
And from the problem for me, I've never experienced that personally.
Yeah.
So I mean, I lived in Ontario, dealt with garter or poisonous snakes, but I mean, it's there's only one venomous snakes in
Yeah.
Ontario that I'm aware of. Whereas you got the worst ones in the world. So
Yeah. I mean, shit, we've got bloody ticks that paralyze, so yeah, we've
yeah,
got everything here. But I think
but it's like I say, just try to making it. The best you can do is make it not a big deal. When things are a big deal, the dog wants to go chase it and investigate it. So
mm,
what I tell people, you know what, if you want to make it not a big deal, when he sees a kangaroo, if he's excited, just take him by the collar, just be calm, be leadership. He's going to be observing your behavior. You're not chasing the damn thing. You're not screaming at it. You're not doing anything to it. You're not making it a big deal. And
yeah,
eventually he's going to realize, you know what, it's not a big deal.
yeah,
And he doesn't need to chase it. It kills me when I see trainers going out and put a shot collar. Like I was watching one guy try to red zone a venomous snake. And he turned around and he freaking shocked that dog up on the max.
that's
And
we. I did that.
he doesn't realize it's not turning the snake into a negative reinforcement. It's not doing shit for the snake. And the dog was reacting to not to the snake, but the pain and he's expecting the punishment, right?
So I did the snake avoidance training with Chopper. He was probably 2 at the time, so it was a good 2.5 years ago now. They put an e-collar around his neck and
Mm-hmm.
an e-collar around his waist. Just, yeah,
Oh
so
my!
just towards the back of his, yeah, I know it's bad. I know, I'm embarrassed saying it. So
No.
towards the back of his waist, just above his penis. Um, so we went out. They had the snakes were venomous and but they were dead, but they were frozen. So they thawed them out so that the scent was still there. I was no, he did not associate that with me because I was nowhere near him. They had the owners because there was a few dogs. They had the owners like probably about 200 meters away.
Mm-hmm.
We were not allowed to be around. Um, and as soon as the dog went to sniff the snake, it was they were blown up on 100. It
Yep.
was not even a. It was it was the e-collar and it was the not the editor. What do you call it? The mini educator,
Yep.
and it was straight on 100. I even though I was 200 meters away, it's probably a bit less, probably about 100 meters away. I heard the squeal. I'll never forget that sound.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally all 4 feet were off the ground.
Well,
They take
imagine doing that to a human child. What would that do to a human child? Would it make them less scared of snakes? Would it make them less interested in snakes? Not a chance.
it broke my heart. It
Yep.
broke my heart. Then, so what they did after that was we had like a half an hour break, and then to ensure that it worked, they did it again. They had the dog walk past the snake, and if the dog didn't completely veer away from the snake, it meant it didn't work, and that we would have to do it again, but not on that day. We would have to do it again at another session. It didn't work with any of the dogs on that day. So they said, oh, it's quite possible that the scent from the snake had already dissipated. And so they said, we would do another one and it would be half price. But after seeing what Choppa's reaction to it, I said, I'm not interested. I'm not doing that. Thank you very much. I did not know that that's what was involved. It was.
We got 1 minute left. Can we start a new session here?
Do you want to continue, or do you want to?
Don't matter to me. I got
wrap
nothing
it
else to
up?
do right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I'm
Okay.
happy. Yep. No worries.
Give me.
Do you want to have like 5 minutes? Do you want to have a
Yep.
break?
I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee and then
Yeah.
get a coffee and whatnot.
All right,
I'll get back to you.
done.
Bye.
Okay. Wait.
Oh yeah. That's
Some form of behaviour that they want to talk about or to change in their dog needs to have a consult with either you or Peter. It's just we can help them. I agree with you 100%. I don't want to call it a war, but I do agree with you 100% that the pushback is with the owners rather than the dog trainers.
And it's hard to deal with because it actually hurts because to see dog owners so brainwashed by all this bullshit, it's just incredible.
It's I think it goes beyond the brainwashing. I think it's a projection because, okay, now you're telling me that I'm the problem. I love my dog. I'm not the problem. And that's where it looks like we're pointing fingers. We are, but it's not your fault. Like, it wasn't my fault.
I normally try to add a caveat. This is not about blame or fault or anything else like that. But it's just this is the reality, right?
But until you look at it, for me, until I looked at it as in, well, yeah, I was the problem. I'm the problem. You can hear me say it in my last video at the dog park. One of the owners there said, oh, did something happen to him? Because I said, oh, he just doesn't know how to be a dog. He just doesn't know. And they said, did something happen to him? I said, yeah, me. I happened to him. I did this to him. So, until the owners that are having these issues, like, I don't want to name any names, but the most recent video that you and I saw, like, that is so clear.
He's a negative.
Yeah.
And it's negative reinforcements to shape behaviors.
I was uncomfortable watching it.
Yep.
And I'm not in the room. So imagine if I'm uncomfortable watching what that was. I don't want to describe it. You know exactly the video I'm talking about because, in case this gets aired later, I don't want, But if I'm uncomfortable watching your interaction with your dog, then your dog is most definitely uncomfortable with your interaction with that dog.
Yep.
So
get your nose out of my cup. He wants my hot chocolate.
He's like,
really? No.
Chocolate.
Yeah, he's not getting that. Hey, you think you're being sneaky?
That's what I think is happening with the owners. The owners that just leave the group, that are like, they have their spat and then they leave. That's a projection. They know it's true, but it's too hard to look at. Like, when I came to the realization that I was the narcissist and that I had to make that change, but not, I don't know why. You've got to do it. You've got to hold that mirror up,
Yeah, and the hard thing is, owners are taking weeks and months to get back on track because, and again, we're trying to explain to people, like, when I meet dogs, I don't want the owner around. I am the brand new environment, and I want the dog to, I start off as negative reinforcement. Yes, I am a negative reinforcement. Yes, I am shaping the dog's behavior to fight and flight. But at some point, I want them to calm down and put me in a positive positive consequence bucket. Okay?
Yeah.
Because that's what has to happen with operant conditioning. Yeah. When I work with Bear, Bear was one of the most dangerous cases that I ever worked with. She drew blood on me 3 times. And the whole thing was, for her, she started off just being she was so mentally out of control. starting off. So for the first hour and a half, it was just her blowing out the lines. I'm just standing there being a bitching post. Get it out of your system. But then she became a bitch, and I became a challenge to her. And she started throwing everything at me. So then, like, one of my favorite moments is when, with that video of Bear and her father Malo. You know, when Bear came running and tagged me, and then her father came in and he almost jumped on my rabbits, right?
Yeah.
But the thing of it was, I mean, she was trying to get rid of that negative reinforcement. Her positive reinforcement is trying to get rid of me.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, if people don't realize that if I run away from that backyard, I'm done. If she wins that battle, I'm done. I'm finished.
Finished as in future.
I'm not getting back in because she knows I'm afraid of her.
Yeah.
Now,
And
if that first bite, when she bit me the first time, if I had ran away, that would have been the end of it. I wouldn't have gotten back in the backyard because now she knows how to make me scared.
yeah. And
So you take it and stand there.
I feel like that's what's happened with Peter and Rhodey. I think that one of their first initial encounters, because the owner was there, and I think Peter really had a bit of a fright.
Mm-hmm.
Then Rhodey, because when Peter went there with his son, Rhodey was fine around his son.
Yep.
So there was none of that history of,
exactly.
Yeah.
The operant conditioning is already there because Peter turned out to be a negative consequence that first time, right?
Yeah. So
and that's
I
so
think
important. That's the whole thing. But I mean, getting back to dog owners and why they're so they're actually addicted to dog training because when you sit down in front of a dog trainer, you're actually sitting down in front of a slot machine, and it's all about positive and negative consequences.
I was addicted. I looked forward to those classes every day. Every day, I looked forward to them. And my husband would say, "Are you doing another class? If you joined another class, yep." Like I was proud. I was addicted to. You're 100% right. And if I couldn't make a class for whatever reason, I had to make it up, or I would just do a session at home. It was ridiculous.
Yep.
The poor thing what I put him through. Oh.
But I mean, it's your own operant conditioning, right? So that first time you meet a trainer, most times is a negative consequence. Because they're telling you that, you know what, your dog is aggressive, your dog is fear aggressive, your dog's got prey drive, your dog's got this, your dog's got that. So it's all negative consequence. That's the first time you meet a trainer.
That was exactly right.
That's where you start going on.
Yeah. Not one trainer asked me what I wanted. Mm-hmm. Not one. Not one trainer asked me what we do, like in terms of any kind of physical activity apart from walking. Mm-hmm. And every single trainer diagnosed him at the very first meeting as fear aggressive and a high prey drive.
Yep, and it's all meant to scare you.
Extremely high prey drive. And I was like, oh, what do you mean prey drive? Like that he's looking at another animal or a cat or a small child as prey, like that he wants to kill it. Yep. And they're like, yeah, well, he's a husky. He's a husky cross. That's inbred. That's like he has a very high prey drive. So yeah, enter fear, and everything out there was prey for him. And his aggression was out of fear. He was afraid, and so in order to push that thing that he was afraid of away, he would show aggression. Mm-hmm. So I had a fear-aggressive dog. So when we went into the vet, he was showing aggression because he was afraid of the vet.
It's all fight and flight.
It was all just a shit show, Robert.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
but I mean, it's over and done with now. So, but now you're on a different path.
And you've said it before. The past is written. It's done. The future looks fantastic. Mm-hmm. He's just lying there. He's just kind of looking at me. He's falling asleep. It's just great.
Yep.
But they feel exactly what we're feeling in real time. I know that. I've seen it.
Yep.
In fact, I did I took a video of it and sent it to Peter. I did a remake of the gasp out in so we were walking just in the local park. And the first time I did it a year ago, I took a big breath in like I got startled by something, and he whipped his head around so fast. It was so talented. I knew there and then that because you guys were saying the only environment they're in really truly interested in is the one hole on the other end of the lead. So when I
Yep.
tried it, it it bloody worked. I did it the other day, and he was sniffing, and I did the gasp, and I reckon about 3 seconds went by before he turned around to look at me. But it was literally like that. It was like, what are you doing?
Yep.
So he either knew that it was fake
Yep.
because
That's exactly it.
there was no, but he thought, I'll just check on her anyway.
Yep.
So he either knew it was fake, or he just thought, the whatever has startled her is not an imminent threat. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
you can see him take his time turning to look at me. It's
Yep.
amazing.
But the thing of it is, I mean, dogs can read us without even looking at you.
Mm,
That's the one video I got where I got two videos online. I got to go through and narrate those because like they're only short videos. But the first video shows the owner's very very scared in the dog park, and the dog's running around with the hackles up,
mm.
and the dog's not even looking at the owners. The dog is focused on dogs and whatever have you. But when I put the second part of the video, I got them to calm down, chill out, and all of a sudden the hackles went down, and their dog was out running around being a dog.
Yeah.
But dogs don't even need to look at you to know there's something going on, to know you're scared. That's the
Oh
connection that they
no.
have.
Oh, I can see it when so we walk on a 2 meter lead, um, and he's always got one of his ears is pointing back because he's always. I don't care whether he's in front as long as he's not, really pulling. But when he's in front of me, he's always got one ear facing forward and the other slightly on an angle
Mm-hmm.
facing turned backwards, like he's listening. He's listening to me. I'm not talking. We rarely talk. I find it pointless just talking to him for no reason. So our walks are very very quiet.
Yep.
I might say something like this side if there's a cyclist coming, and he'll come over to this side, or that kind of thing. But just talking for the sake of talking, I just don't. I prefer quiet.
Yep.
So, but yeah, no, it's very telling that they are definitely more concerned about the environment on the other end of the lead than they are,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on
Yep.
around them. So,
But now he's
so
starting
that
to.
was that was
Now
a good,
he's. But now he's really starting to pay attention to you. That's the thing, right? He has an
yeah,
interest in you because you've taken an interest in him.
yeah,
That's why I
yeah,
like
for sure.
That's why I like Dale Carnegie so much, right? Like he had a statement, or he made a quote. You can make more friends in 3 months by paying attention to other people than you can by in a year trying to get them to pay attention to you. You know?
It's funny. It's actually funny because you mentioned that, because when I owned a business pre the pandemic, I used to tell my staff all the time, because we were in the service industry, and I tell my staff all the time, be interested, not interesting.
Yep.
And you watch, your clients will gravitate to you.
People
They,
love people love to talk about themselves.
mm, mm,
You know,
mm. So, yeah, it's very true.
and it's very telling when you get people to open up and start listening to them what they actually say. You know,
Yeah, very much so.
especially if they're like narcissistic or they got something else going on. A lot of people today are all about me and yada yada yada.
Yeah,
And it's always very telling when they start talking. You know,
yeah,
but I don't know. It's fascinating watching all the psychology going on with dog training,
yeah.
especially because I mean the amount of damage that they've caused over the years, and at some point accountability has to come. There has to be a reckoning for all the damage that they've done. I mean, when
Yeah.
I talked to I forget the guy's name, but the Shiba Inu, but I mean his dog trainer, his behaviorist, and his vet they were calling him up in tandem, demanding that he bring the dog in so they can kill it.
It's,
This is the shit that's going on, right? And this is really really pissing me off.
yeah, it is.
Uh,
It's great.
I've talked to people whose lives have been absolutely decimated after spending $30,000 in dog training. Now they're living locked up at home. Nobody wants to come over. Their spouse is gone. Nobody wants to come over. You're isolated and alone.
Mm,
You know, and they're turning to
yeah,
do drinking and drugs and the whole nine yards. This is all caused by dog training, and there's no accountability. They don't give a shit. Don't blame dog training. Don't blame the quadrants. They're perfect. Don't blame me, right? And the owners
yeah,
always take the freaking blame. It's always the trainer blaming the owner. Well, you didn't follow through on it, so you're the failure.
yeah. I
And
get
that
that.
that hits people hard. When you're being
Yeah,
told you failed, that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
I've never once told a person that they failed. I couldn't do that to a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. No, I definitely got that. I absolutely got that from dog trainers that my timing was off, or my markers weren't. He doesn't understand the markers. It was terrible.
And it blows me away that they still blame Skinner, because that's all they learn is about Skinner, right? Uh, what was his name? The PhD that Zach had on, having a conversation about psychology. I mean, that guy's full of shit. Totally out to lunch.
Yeah.
But he's got a PhD in psychology.
Yeah.
He's the expert, but yet he couldn't find his own ass with a map when it comes to psychology, and all he's pushing is quadrants of dog training.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
So
it's quite often, this is what I'm seeing all the time. You got certified behaviors. It's all about quadrants,
yeah.
and they will not listen. They will not listen to reason.
I'm just watching the way he just looks into your eyes.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. He's a very expressive dog, and I know exactly. Like, I mean, if he's annoyed, his ears are all sideways and he struts. It's just, there's so many different tells with him, right? How his attitude is, right? Like a wise old man, eh?
Yeah.
But I mean, with him, I think it took 3 days before he was off leash, and for the most part, for me, like, dogs tend to be so easy with me being on Asperger's, and but again, I'm not associated with reward and punishment. I'm always that new. Always that new thing to operate religion itself too, and I always want to be a positive consequence. I'm calm. So I mean, Bear was one of my worst cases, and there was 3 hours in the backyard. Then we went for a good walk, and she was great on a walk. She was a totally different dog. Like in that video with her and Milo, that was the last of the kitchen sink. She had nothing left to throw at me.
Mm,
When Milo went back in the house and she came into a frame, that was the moment she changed, because she had nothing left to throw at me.
yeah.
There was nothing left to do. So we went for a good walk. The fourth session was in a dog park, and she blew me away.
Yeah.
But when people say, well, aggression is permanent, no, it's not.
No.
Dear God, no, it's not. Just be a positive consequence and let the dog choose to follow you.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Be calm. Just like for me, I leave my emotions in the car.
Yeah.
And even Monty at times, I've always got Monty with me if I go out to work with a dog, but there's times that I don't know if he smells the dog off me or what the hell the case is, but then there's times that he goes, you know what, I'm not working today. You're
Yeah.
on your own, right? So I got to respect that.
Yeah.
But generally, when
I-
the camera goes on, he's ready to roll.
yeah. I've experienced that with Chopper as well, where we've gone to the field and I've brought out his herding ball that he absolutely loves, and he'll give it a push once, and then he'll kind of stroll behind it, follow it, sniff it, might just push it with his muzzle a bit, and then walks away from it. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to do this today." And I go over, I pick it up, put it in the car, and then we just go for a walk.
Yep. Yep. He's
No
totally.
different to me going to the gym. Sometimes I'm just like, nah, I'm not going today.
I know.
But I love going. I love it.
Mm.
I love it. And I love the feeling I get afterwards. But there are days where I'm like, nah, stuff it. How's that any different? It's no different.
Yeah. That's why Skinner was saved. Replace dog with human.
Yeah.
What would you do differently?
I wanted to ask you. You mentioned earlier about a dog walking into the dog park with the hackles already up.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case with him, but when we walk in, he's fine. But as soon as a dog, and you can see it in the last video, Pepper, the little round staffy, as soon as she comes bolting at him, his hackles come up.
That's just his reaction, his body's reaction to something in the environment. That's all it is. He's not sure of she's not sure about how she's going to approach.
So it's not me.
No, it's most of the dog's intention, right?
Because I think it's cute and funny when she comes bowling over. So I'm definitely not uncalm or concerned or nervous.
But it's him trying to figure out her intentions, right?
Is that so because
if all of a sudden I ran up to you, you're going to go, okay, Jesse, you have intent to harm me. Well, at some point it very quickly rationalized through and just, it's not a big deal.
Okay, so just so I can understand the science behind it, can he get to the point where, because he's met her a couple of times now, where when she runs up to him, he's like, oh, it's just you, and he's calm, or is that always going to be, oh, it's you again?
It's going to be for a while yet, and it's going to take time for him to understand that because, like I say, it's always been he's always been on the defense, and now he's
Yeah,
starting to realize that he doesn't need to be. And
yeah,
now you're going to see the changes happen very quickly, I think. And as he meets the right dogs, like if you can meet that Aussie Shepherd again, even that Bulldog again, because I mean,
yeah,
neither one of them had any bloody intent to do anything other than play, and they wanted to be dominated in the whole 9 yards. But
yeah,
again, he's got a lot of learning to do. So I mean, he's just now starting to experience and understand that dominance and submission is not taking over, not controlling.
yeah, yeah,
So it's just the more he sees it, and it was just so cute to see him go from that dominant bark to running his ass around the dog park, chasing him around. That was awesome, right? But
yeah.
you can see his
So,
he's still got boundaries up. That's what's going on.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
still got boundaries, and they're starting to break down. That's why the Aussie was so nice because I mean she broke his boundaries down in a real hurry.
yeah,
Like I say, she's the right dog, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Because I've seen him run up to other dogs the way similar to the way the Staffy runs up to him.
Mm-hmm.
He runs up to another dog to go and investigate, but that other dog's hackles aren't up.
Yep.
That other dog is just like,
It takes a lot of dogs to learn how to be a dog. It takes more than one or two dogs. I
yeah,
mean, Monty's after meeting thousands and thousands and thousands of dogs. I couldn't even begin to
yeah,
count.
yeah,
Dog parks all around the frickin' province, from north to south and everything in between. He's been at every dog
yeah,
park here like 1,000 times, and we
yeah.
got 50 massive dog parks in the city. But I
I
mean,
think that's,
he's been through thousands of dogs. I mean, he knows that he learned very quickly the first time he met a coyote. I don't know how he did it, but he understood it wasn't a dog.
yeah,
He went. That was only like it was in the first couple of weeks that I had him, and we were heading into winter, right? But all of a sudden, he went full display. And if you ever seen a miniature pincher in full display, I mean, he's got the hackles are gone from tail to up between his ears, and he's just stomping the
yeah.
ground, right? And when he started doing that, I'm looking around, and all of
Oh,
a sudden, I seen a coyote 50 feet off. But he had
yeah,
no intent to chase it. He knew he knew it wasn't a dog,
yeah,
so I didn't have to worry about it.
yeah,
And we've seen coyotes since then. It's always the same thing. So again, it's him figuring out, you know what, through operant conditioning, that's a negative consequence. I don't want that.
yeah.
That's the reality. I'm not going to go near that. I'm not going to chase that. And we've had coyotes get like coyotes here in the city. We got a lot of coyotes in the city, but a lot of them are getting more and more brave, and they've actually taken small dogs, which is pretty sad. I
Mm,
mean, if anything ever happened to Monty like that, I'd lose my shit, to be honest with you.
yeah,
But again, you can't protect them all the time, right? So
yeah.
now that he knows the scent of a coyote, he knows what a coyote looks like. You know what? He's going to avoid it, and he's
Mm.
learned that in his own. I don't know how he did it, but
Well, it's got to be instinct.
yeah, it has to be. But again, it's just being calm and just reading the environment and reading the
Yeah,
behaviors, and that's all it is. Because a dog in an amped up state can't read behaviors properly. They're not thinking properly. There's no thought process
correct.
involved.
Yeah.
And when a dog has gone into a dangerous state, where their cortisol and adrenaline has gone through the roof, and they're running hot, there's no like it's all primal. And when their
Mm.
eyes go bloodshot, like I said, their blood that's a good sign that their blood pressure's gone through the roof, and that's not
Yeah,
good. That's when it become dangerous,
yeah,
and that's usually when I get bitten.
yeah,
But again, there's owners need to be aware of that. And for me, unfortunately, when I'm in the backyard with a dog, if that happens, I got to deal with it. I can't just leave the yard
no,
because if I run
no,
away in fear, I am done. That's what happened with Freddie. That was
yeah,
Bear's brother. When the first, I mean, that was the first time in my life when 120 pounds of Freddie came at me. I jumped the fence to get away from him, and that was it.
yeah,
I was done. That was a done deal with him because now he knew
yeah.
that he could scare me.
Can I ask, how many years ago was that, the Bear and Freddie?
That was a couple of years ago.
So have they been in touch since to give you updates on how things are? Like, do you
Actually,
have,
the problem for them, they're really busy. I mean, he's got two daughters, and they never really kept on board with it. So I had to go back and reassess Bear, and she had regressed a little bit, but it didn't take her long to come around.
okay.
But the thing of it is, owners need to understand you got to keep on going forward with it. We got the
Yeah,
treadmill, we got the
sure.
dogs on the treadmill, but they stopped doing it all, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but the nice thing was he actually had he was desperate to go on vacation. He couldn't bring four dogs to a kennel, So he had a friend of his come in, and we introduced him properly to the animals, and they went on 2 weeks vacation. He didn't have any problems.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
just that simple fact alone, that he was bringing other people into the house doing the same thing, that really changed quite a bit, right?
Well, and that's what they hired you for, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but the thing of it
The
was, I
fact that,
mean, they just most owners want to understand that their dog is capable. And
mm,
that's my only job, is to show them, you know what, your dog is capable. Right now, when I walk in the backyard, I'm meeting the excited dog, I'm meeting the uncalm dog,
yeah,
I'm seeing all the bad behaviors, I'm usually seeing the dog at the worst. Okay?
yeah,
I'm watching the behaviors, I'm learning the behaviors, and if I see those behaviors again, I know how to deal with it.
yeah,
And it is what it is. I mean, you can't just go in and slam a muzzle on the dog and throw a leash on the dog and try to diagnose it. It's just not possible. It takes a
mm,
set of balls.
yeah,
And that's just the one thing that trainers don't have. I mean, trainers today, you got positive reinforcement trainers like Zach George. And it's not just Zach, it's all positive reinforcement. I am yet to see a positive reinforcement work with aggression. But yet they're all
yeah.
experts in it, right? And I always
Yeah, it's funny.
well,
Oh,
give me a video.
because no, because I know why. It's because they'll tell you that we don't allow the dog to get into that state
Yep.
just for filming.
hmm
That's the excuse. But you're right. It's not
But
because
they don't never record themselves. They don't take video. That's just
yeah,
stupidity. I mean, just for security and like liability purposes, I got the camera
yeah.
on. I wear the chest mount GoPro. Set it and forget it. There's no excuses.
No,
All I
no,
got to do is turn it
no.
on. And the thing of it
Yeah,
is, I want the owner. Like the owner is never there. They like when I'm
yeah.
dancing around with the dog in the backyard. The owner's in the window. But once
Mm,
we go for a walk, I'm at a site, and I
mm,
want them to
mm,
see their dog. I want them to
mm.
see that I'm not hurting their dog. I'm not doing anything bad to their dog. When I'm not choking,
Yeah,
I'm not sneaking around the corner and beating the shit out of your dog. And you
yeah.
can watch it.
Mm,
And the thing of it is, one big thing. When I work with Ranger, the bulldog, the owner was watching through the window. She said it was hard enough watching through the window. It's when she watched the video from my point of view, because the camera's like just below my face. She's seen everything from my
yeah,
point of view. She sat down, she cried.
yeah,
That's when she
yeah,
realized how bad her dog was.
yeah,
So it's perspective, it's point of view.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
You know.
Um, yeah, no, that's and the we got a whole muzzle movement now where you've got to muzzle train your dog for just in case.
Yep. And
I
that's the
went
worst
down that
punishment.
route too.
Yeah, and that's the worst punishment.
I understand that now. I went down that route,
Yep.
muzzle training.
Well, muzzles are actually a negative reinforcement or a punishment because you're applying punishment is applied negative reinforcement. So if you turn around and give a child a smack on the ass, you're applying punishment. You're actually applying negative reinforcement. But
Yeah,
the thing of it is, negative reinforcement is natural in the environment,
yeah,
and that's the ones that are going to be essentially punishing you correctly. So again, if a child goes out and touches the hot stove, negative consequence of a burn becomes a negative reinforcement to teach the child, you know what, avoid the hot stove.
mm,
It only
mm,
has to happen once. But
mm,
again, but some other ones, like if you keep telling the child that, don't go near the spider, it'll bite you. They keep hearing that. Every time they hear that, it's a negative consequence. And it can take time, but eventually that negative consequence is built up to become a negative reinforcement.
yeah,
Same goes with positive reinforcement. Okay, so if you give a child, a 2-year-old child, a first bowl of ice cream, chances are it's going to become a positive reinforcement. They just want it. They like ice cream. And we tend to repeat that, which we like, with the positive consequences. But yet, if you go into a store and buy a lottery ticket and win $10,000, that's a positive consequence. You keep repeating that positive consequence, and your positive reinforcement is going to be addiction.
yeah,
And everything we do becomes an addiction. It's either
yeah,
whatever you're scared of is an addiction. So if you're scared of
yeah,
spiders, that's an addiction when you think about it.
yeah.
If you're
I
doing
used
things over and over again, it becomes an addiction.
Yeah. I used to say I have an addictive personality, but I understand now what that means.
It's all
It's
about positive and
actually
negative consequences.
yeah,
There's no such thing as chance.
correct.
I don't see chance anymore. I like to go into casinos and watch the behavior because you're seeing people panic, you're seeing people relax, calm, excited, whatever
Mm,
have you. But when you watch people shove money into a slot machine, that's when you
mm,
realize it's all
yeah,
about negative, positive consequence. There's only
yeah,
negative or positive. There is no chance. It's not a chance thing. The machine is going to beat you.
yeah,
But it's just the positive consequences make you want to pony up again. Negative
yeah,
consequences make you want to pony up again. So when
yep,
you either win or you don't win. It's not you're winning
yeah,
or losing. You win or you don't win. It's the same thing with dog training. That's why I say going to hire a dog trainer is like sitting in front of a slot machine. That's all it is. You're going to win or you don't win.
yeah,
But I mean, the psychology for me, watching the psychology the last 35 years, my God, it's terrifying.
Yeah. So how do you actually, what do you do to, you CBD, yeah. I was going to say, how does this not, um, how do you relax? Like, what do you do to
At
calm
night,
yourself
at
when
nighttime,
you see,
at nighttime, I smoke cannabis.
yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that takes a lot of the edge
You
off.
have
But
to,
I mean,
you
yeah,
have to, because the stuff that you see with your brain and your, with like, for you to process and not let that all affect you, that's yeah,
it can be quite
that's
hard. I
crazy.
mean, generally, like, remember the old card stocks in libraries?
Remember what?
When you went to a library years ago, you had to go to a card stock, like a tray
Oh,
of
yep,
drawer, then go through and dig the book out. That's
yep.
how my brain works. So I mean, it's not that I've
Mhm.
forgotten things. It's just that things are stored away in different files. It's almost like a massive chest of drawers. And when I'm
Mhm.
talking to people, it's all of a sudden it reminds me of something. Okay, this information is there. It's like I can actually feel my brain going through, and all of a sudden that drawer flies open, and everything's in the drawer comes
Yeah,
out, and then a thousand rabbit holes going on.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
this is why I love talking to people because all the stuff that I've not really forgotten, the stuff that's been stored away, starts coming back out again.
Mm.
Temple Grandin has a photographic memory. She can actually read a book page by page, and she'll, just look at a page for a second, and then
Yeah,
she knows it. She can actually read it in her mind because she
yeah,
thinks in pictures, and that's the way dogs work. They're
yeah.
very detail oriented. But with me, I've got a partial photographic. So if I'm trying to remember something, if I'm in a conversation, I'll actually close my eyes, and then there's something will flash, like a picture will flash in front of my eyes. It could be a person's name that I read in a wiki, but that's how things come back to me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just for the last 35 years, I mean, understanding the psychology of what happened to society. I mean, we're not raised to be animals anymore. We're not raised to be human beings anymore. We're raised to be bloody persons. Something that can fit into this dumbass society, this illusion that we live in. It's all one big delusion called the Matrix.
Yeah,
It's real, but yet it's fake.
yeah. Well,
And
I see
this,
that with all the medication that's been dished out for all kinds of mental health. It's
well,
crazy.
again, let's get into treats. I mean, treats are nothing more than a secondary reinforcer, right? That's all
Mm.
money is a secondary reinforcer. It's a token. It has no intrinsic value. There's no value to it. It's fiat. It's
Yeah,
fake. But yet people
yeah.
will kill each other for it. They'll kill themselves for it. They're working their ass off for it. It's only secondary reinforcers. And secondary reinforcers are the things that you earn to buy your positive reinforcements. Your real
Yeah.
desires to go, buy a house, buy a car, whatever have you. But then you've also got the negative consequences that come along with it because now you got to pay taxes. You got to, whatever have you. It's just this is all the crazy part of it. So when you understand that money is fake and you're using a token called secondary reinforcer that has no value, when the game Monopoly came out, that's literally what we're playing. When they put out the
Mm.
game Monopoly, it was actually It was actually laughing at society because that's what we're literally born into is a game of Monopoly. But the whole thing
Mm.
with treats themselves are a secondary reinforcement too. Now, secondary reinforcements are supposed to be something that you achieve your positive reinforcements with, but yet the dog's eating it. There's no benefit of
Yeah.
positive reinforcement from treats, but yet they call it positive reinforcement. No,
Yeah.
it's an inducement.
Yeah.
That's all treats are, is an inducement. It's not a positive reinforcement. Food itself is a positive
Yeah.
reinforcement as a requirement for life. So is water. So is procreation is for the survival of the species.
Okay. I don't know if we've got time, but I wanted to talk to you about that because I understand that the positive reinforcement is obviously the state of calm, food, water, shelter, safety, and reproduction.
Well, positive reinforcement is operant conditioning. They're interchangeable.
Yeah.
Okay.
When it comes to reproduction, what's going on with the neutered dogs where they don't have that they don't have that feeling, they don't have the hormones anymore.
You can read human literature. What happens when you when you look at eunuchs? Quite often in the past, they actually turned around, they cut the nuts off young boys,
Yeah,
and the results are they became calmer. They became they don't grow hair. They always have a lot of developing or problems going down the road
yeah,
because we're all animals. So I mean, if you cut the innards off of a male, it's going to have the same reaction. It's going to have the same endocrine issues. It's going to create a whole lot of things. You know, a whole lot of side effects. Now, then you got to look at the rest of society and dogs that are around them. So if a dog is not producing testosterone, and then you get another dog that's used to being around dogs that are not neutered, that dog becomes different because they smell different. And that's the
Yeah.
reason why some dogs have problems with children, because children don't have the sex hormones that we do, that adults do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this is where children become a little bit different animal.
Okay. So, I mean, you know how you say that the dog needs food, water, to fulfill its needs,
Well, what is it? What is it?
exercising, and
What does the animal need for survival themselves?
okay,
Food, water, shelter.
procreation.
No, food, water, and shelter.
Oh, oh, okay.
Okay, now so operant conditioning is really all about the survival of the fittest. But human beings aren't part of that anymore. We've taken ourselves out of that game.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's
Yeah.
the whole problem. So we got survival of the animal. So we need food, water, shelter. That's the basic needs for the survival of the animal.
Yep.
What's needed for the survival of the species is procreation.
Okay. All right. So the fact that I've removed his nuts has,
You've taken away his positive reinforcement in that sense.
yeah.
And that's one of the worst punishments we can do. Again, that's like muzzling a
Well,
dog
yeah.
because you're taking away like a dog's positive reinforcement is fight or flight. In the face
Yeah.
of a negative reinforcement, your positive reinforcement is to fight, flight, or become indifferent.
Yeah.
So fight and flight is going to be negative consequences. But yet indifference becomes socialized, which is a positive consequence. But that takes
Yeah.
rationalization. But trainers are telling people to step in and block the dog from even learning to rationalize. So
Yeah.
all they have is fight or flight. And they never get the indifference like your dog with the kangaroo. He will never meet a kangaroo, not on purpose anyway. So he
Yeah.
will never get a chance to understand the kangaroo, and he's going to have to do it from a distance.
Yeah.
But that's the rationalization that needs to happen.
Yeah.
He just needs to understand, you know what? Okay, fine, the kangaroo is there. I don't need to chase it. My owner's not chasing it. She's not freaking out. You know what? It's not a big deal. And
Yeah.
the more you repeat that, that's what happens. It becomes not a big deal.
I just remembered now that you said kangaroo again. I had done some work with a trainer with the e-collar in the kangaroos. So we went to a field where we know the kangaroos are sometimes, and on this particular day they were at a distance, and so we walked Choppa with a long line. He had the e-collar on, and every time he looked at a kangaroo, I would call him, and if he didn't come, he'd get zapped. And so the concept there was that he related the kangaroo with the uncomfortable feeling.
Well,
So
what they're doing is they're turning the kangaroo into a big deal.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's
So I
actually
know
working it
that now.
backwards. It's actually working it
That
backwards.
yeah, I well, it made sense at the time
Yeah.
because every time she would stim him, he would come back to me because it was coming back to me would release that stim. That stim would only go away if he got back to
Yeah.
me.
The
And
removal of
so that
negative
way,
reinforcement.
yeah, and that way I could keep him safe because he's near me and he's not going after the
But
kangaroo.
here's the thing. I mean, going back to Robert Cabral. I mean, Robert Cabral said it himself on video, point blank on video. If you don't
Yeah,
have,
without the tool.
if you don't have the tool, you can't train the dog.
Can't train the dog, yeah.
But using his own words, if I take his tools away from him, if I take Jackson or the streets away from him, they're nothing more than goddamn frauds.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
reality.
I brought that up because I've had completely forgot about that until you mentioned the kangaroos again.
Hmm.
Um, I just wanted to let you know that we also have that to deal with, that he may have that history of,
Yep.
you know,
It's that reminder of punishment. They don't forget.
mm, which
And
I completely
that's
forgot about.
again that's the hard part for dog owners because you are related, but their dog is relating you to reward and punishment. So
Mm,
if there's something that
yeah,
they can do at certain times that you don't want them to do at others, if you're punishing the dog for doing something at a time when they shouldn't be, they're not going to
yeah,
understand that. But yet they're going
yeah.
to look at you. So
Oh,
if all of a sudden you punish your dog, you start zapping your dog because he's excited to go into a dog park. You're punishing the dog
yeah,
for wanting to go to a dog park. So if all of a sudden you take the e-collar off and you want to go to a dog park, the dog's gonna be sitting there going, "Okay, you know what? She punished me the last time.
mm.
They're gonna expect that again."
I still see a little bit of that in him. That's why I know that we're not 100% there. We're probably 98, but there are still times where I might call him over for. I'm not recalling, but I might just call him over. Where
It's the threat of punishment. We got 30 seconds left. Why don't you one more? Do you have time?
up to you.
I'm
What's the
good.
time? 12.
Let's
Yeah, yeah. Let's go.
let's do one more. Give me 2 minutes to go out and have a smoke, and I'll be right back.
No worries.
Okay. And keep your mind on that.